everyone, I'm Miss Tayla and I'm the librarian at the Oaklawn branch, and I'm also a cosplayer, so I thought I would come on today and talk to you guys about cosplay and answer any questions you guys had about cosplaying. So first and foremost, I guess the biggest question is, what is cosplay? Cosplay is a combination of the words costume and play, and it usually refers to the act of making and wearing costumes from anime, TV, movies, books, and other pop culture media as a way to participate in the fan culture, sometimes referred to as fandom, of that piece of media. So it's really all about having fun, embracing fun and play while wearing a costume. I guess the second most common question I get while or about cosplay is, did you make insert piece of your cosplay here? And that really depends on what it is. For me personally, most pieces of clothing that I wear, especially recently, have been things that I bought online and then modified either with paint, doing a little bit of sewing, or vinyl decals, distressing, other types of things to make it look exactly how I want it to look. Unique costume pieces, like one of the capes I have, the cape I have for my Jester from Critical Role cosplay, and this dress were both commissioned from friends and acquaintances of mine who also cosplay. You can also buy full cosplays online. I've done that before. And lastly, props. Almost always prop pieces are made or modified by me. It's right here. I can get it. This giant lollipop, also for my Jester from Critical Role cosplay, I made using some pool noodles and a PVC pipe that I painted and some white duct tape to make it look like a peppermint kind of old-fashioned lollipop. So things like that are things I will do to make things that look awesome, and also are safe to take to conventions. And a lot of times people will ask me, how long have I been cosplaying? So I started cosplaying around 2012, kind of the end of my senior year, beginning of my first year in college. And so that means I've been cosplaying for about 8 years. And in that time, I've done at least 20 cosplays. I was trying to count for this, and I stopped after 20. And a lot of people ask me what my first cosplay was, and my first cosplay was a gender-bent version of Death the Kid from the anime Soul Eater. So we also got a question about what was the most difficult cosplay I've ever created, and I would say this was probably within my first year or two of cosplaying. I made a Starfire from Teen Titans cosplay, and so I was still very new to cosplaying, and it was a pretty ambitious build. I made the skirt and the shirt myself. I sewed them, and I kind of had to I used some patterns or advice on how to pattern your own clothing from tutorials I found online, but I still had to kind of go on my own with making those pieces, and I was still kind of a novice seamstress and still consider myself somewhat of a novice seamstress. So that was difficult. It was the first time I'd worked with EVA foam for a cosplay, and there's definitely some stuff I've learned about painting EVA and shaping it that if I knew then I would have done differently. It was the first time I ever did resin casting. Resin is a kind of plastic that is liquid, and you can add coloring to it to make gems or other type of kind of like see-through pieces, things that look like glass. And when it dries super hard, so it looks like jewels or it looks like glass. And overall, I was really happy with how it came out for how new I was of a cosplayer, but it took a lot of work and a lot of research to make it something that I was happy to wear to a convention. I think another question that a lot of new cosplayers have is, how do I start cosplaying? And the short answer to that is it really depends on what type of cosplay or like even what costume you want to do and how much time and money you want to spend. But here's some kind of quick tips from me on how to get started cosplaying if you really want to try it out and don't really know where to begin. So one is to do something that's called closet cosplay, which is you either take clothes you already have or you buy some clothing, some everyday kind of normal items of clothing to put together a cosplay for a character that has a really simple outfit that's like a lot of clothes that we'd wear every day. I kind of do this a lot because, like I said before, my seamstress skills aren't great. So I guess an example of that for me is I did Matt Murdock from the comic/TV show Daredevil. And so he just wears a suit, and then he's got the only really specialty clothing I had to buy was the red glasses. But, you know, he wears in his everyday life when he's not out being Daredevil, he wears a normal suit, so it's pretty easy to find a suit that that's close. Reference pictures are really important for this if you want something that's accurate while still doing a closet cosplay. Well, reference pictures are important if you're cosplaying no matter what you're doing. You never have enough reference pictures, and reference pictures are basically pictures of the character with basically as many angles as you can get. If you want to replicate their makeup, you know, a close-up on their face, and to replicate their hair, either as a wig or with your own hair, close-up on the face, full body shots, shots of, you know, the side, the back of their costume, as much as you can get. And certain things, there are a lot of good reference pictures out there. Other times you really have to dig. But yeah, basically using clothes that you already have or clothes that are pretty easy to get a hold of is one really quick and easy way to start cosplaying. Another thing is that buying a cosplay is totally allowed. Buying a completely already made cosplay is totally valid. It's all about having fun, so just because you didn't go crazy and make every single piece of your cosplay doesn't mean that you're, one, not a cosplayer, and two, that you aren't allowed to have as much fun as everyone else. My advice for when you're buying cosplay online is to read the reviews of the sites that you're gonna buy your cosplay from. And that's not just the reviews on the site of that item. Like, really try to find people talking about that site and whether there's good quality stuff there. Especially if you are into anime and other Asian forms of media. A lot of those cosplays will come from China and other parts of Asia, and so that will sometimes mean that they're really affordable, but also the product that you get might not be great. So buying cosplays is one of those things where you get what you pay for, really is the rule of thumb. but you can get good deals too if you search around. Um, and my last tip for getting started is to just go for it. You know, like you just kind of have to jump in and start. I would say pick a character that you really, really are passionate about and really excited about both making and wearing that costume. And that will be amazing motivation for you to just dive right in. Um, and there are a ton of tutorials out there online. YouTube is an amazing resource filled with tutorials showing you how to do, if it isn't the exact character you want to do, techniques that you'll need to do that character, something close enough that you can put that character together, if not full tutorials or like time lapses of builds for the exact character that you want to do. Um, and also, Rome wasn't built in a day. It will take time to learn the skills that it takes to do all of these things. And so jump in and go for it, but also don't get discouraged if your first cosplay or even your first few cosplays are not what you imagine them to be in your mind or what you really wanted them to be. I still have cosplays now that after building them all, there are things that I want to change. So, jump in and go for it, but also don't be hard on yourself if you're not an amazing 5-star cosplayer right out of the gate. Alright, so someone in the chat asked what would your dream cosplay be? And what would my next cosplay be? Okay, so my dream cosplay, and this has been for years since I first heard about the games, is Tali'Zorah from Mass Effect. I just think her costume is so cool with the whole Enviro suit thing and the helmet. But with the purple and all the detailing on the fabric, it's also like really gorgeous despite being a cosplay that you don't even see her face. But it's something that would take it would not only take, fabric and sewing skills, but a lot of armor making, helmet making, detail kind of work. So I hope one day I'll be at the point to finally jump in and do it. So that's my dream cosplay. And then what I'm working on next, during this whole kind of off time, I sketched out a draft for a kind of Wild Mother inspired outfit from Critical Role. The Wild Mother is one of the gods in the pantheon of the world that they play in Critical Role, which is this D&D live podcast, live stream, if you haven't heard of it. So she's the god of nature, and so everything's green with a lot of flower embroidery, and so I'm excited to, be able to like go out into the stores and look at materials and things again to get out and start working on that. Before we finish up here, I wanted to shout out some particular resources online that people can look at if they want to get started with cosplay, and I'm hoping to, after the stream, be able to add this to the details of with links to the details of the video. For general cosplay resources, Mango Cyrene on YouTube's Cosplay 101 playlist, the whole playlist is great. And it takes you like from the beginning of like planning, picking characters, planning stuff out, picking fabrics and materials, sewing, like all the way through more complicated skills. So that's great. All her tutorials are very clear, and her tutorials were the ones that I used to make my Starfire cosplay that I mentioned that was the hardest cosplay that I'd ever done. For some beginning, to get started with sewing, A Beginner's Guide to Learning to Sew by Jenny D on YouTube is a great video to get started, as well as Good Homekeeping's YouTube channel had Learning How to Sew Easy Sewing class for beginners. And so those take you all, that particular video, the Good Housekeeping's video, takes you through, like what all the parts of your sewing machine are and what all the knobs and stuff mean, how to get it all threaded and set up through like sewing your first project. And then for people who are interested in prop making, Punish Props Academy on YouTube has a video about EVA foam, where it is, or what it is and where to get it, a prop maker's guide. So that goes through all the different types of foams and talks about like in different countries where you can get it. So that's very interesting and a great start if you don't even know, what materials you want to use for certain prop making. And then Arlene Faye has I hope I said her YouTube username right, has a basic tools for armor and prop making. And so that'll let you know what kind of tools you might need to get started. And thank you everyone for watching. Next week I'm going to come back and talk about buying slash thrifting cosplays and doing cosplay on a budget. So tune in next Tuesday for that. And stay well, Cranston.